Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the show. So today, I'm really excited to bring someone I've personally worked with in not one, two, but four multifamily deals. And each time he has impressed me with how proactive, sharp, and dependable he is. Um, his name is Luis Mejia. So he's a multifamily real estate broker in the Sacramento and North Central Valley area in California. And he truly understands, how to get deals across the finish lines. Is one of those rare professionals you never have to chase. How many times you're trying to chase people? Just communicating with them is a challenge. So he always communicates back quickly. He stays ahead of the process, solves problems before they become issues, and communicates clearly every step of the way. Now, in addition to brokerage, he's starting some new interesting things as well, which we'll talk about, to just serve his clients, really. So yeah, in this episode, we're going to talk to Luis about what makes a broker truly valuable in a multifamily deal, the behind-the-scenes work that often goes unnoticed, and what investors should look for when choosing someone to represent them. So Luis, welcome to the show. How are you doing?
Well, VP, first and foremost, thank you so much for allowing me to be on this podcast. It's an absolute honor and absolute honor to be able to assist you on now the fourth transaction. Congratulations. I am doing well, other than this is my fasting day. And so a little bit hungry, but I have that mental clarity that you get from being in the fasted state. So I'm excited to be on the show and share my story and my business as a broker.
That's interesting. Actually, you said you get mental clarity when you're fasting. How is that? Like, what's?
Yeah. So if you really think about it, your body isn't focused on digesting food. And so because your body is not digesting food, I when I'm in a fasted state, I just feel like everything is kind of going at a slower level, and I can just like fully grasp whatever it is that I'm dealing with. It's like that mental clarity, that edge. It feels like I'm in hunt mode.
That is very interesting. I need to try that once. It's very hard for me to fast, actually, but so I'm assuming you're having juices or something else, right, throughout the day.
Just water and black coffee.
So so not even juices, huh?
No juices, because
juices. It's really a cleansing day for you today.
Yeah, juices will break your fast.
Oh, I see.
Okay. Is one of the few.
So no calories, right? Essentially.
No calories. Yeah, I do cold brew, which has very little calories, but not enough to break.
Okay.
Yeah, not enough to break the fast. You can do I could do tea. Sometimes I'll drink like yerba mate tea. And so other than that, yeah, and it is hard. In the beginning, it was hard, but now my body's somewhat used to it. But I fast Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. So I go about 36-hour fast.
Always 3 days a week, huh? Every week.
Three days a week. I've been doing it for going on 3 months, 3.5 months by now. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And is that for losing weight or just why are you doing it?
Yeah, combination, losing weight, trying to trim. I have a goal of getting down to 10% body fat. So
okay.
Getting this, one of the ways to be able to do that is obviously being in a calorie deficit. So that is one way to try to get there. Hard way, but it's one of the ways.
You're very motivated, looks like. It's amazing. It'll be very, very hard for me to do something like this.
Yes.
So congratulations for 3 months of doing this. Amazing.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. So to begin with, right? Why don't you just tell us about yourself? Like, for example, where did you grow up? How did you get into multifamily brokerage business? You know, yeah.
Sure, sure. Yeah. So I am grew up. I'm from a town that I grew up in called Gridley, California. Very small agricultural community.
Northern California or Southern California?
Northern California. It's about 45 minutes. I'd say an hour from Sacramento, 45 minutes south of Chico,
Okay.
along the 99. I mean, when I lived there, 10, 12,000 people. I mean, if you driving down the 99 and you blink, you could miss it.
Oh,
It's
okay.
pretty small.
Just one exit, probably. Yeah.
Yeah, we had want to say three
exits.
3 or 4 lights.
Okay, 3 or 4 lights. Wow.
Yeah, very small. So went there, grew up there, went to all the schools there. Decided that I wanted to stay somewhat local after I graduated from high school, and ended up going to Chico State, which is 45 minutes north of Gridley there. And went to Chico State, actually declared a criminal justice major going into college, because I actually originally wanted to be law enforcement, wanted to actually be eventually an FBI agent. That was
nice.
That was kind of my my goal when I was in high school. Ended up taking a couple intro to criminal justice classes, some upper division classes while I was there, and for some reason it just wasn't really getting me excited about it. I don't know if it was the professors, but I just wasn't excited about it. So I actually ended up switching majors, and it actually put me back a little bit, because I did take some upper division classes from the start, because I wanted to try to kind of fast track the degree, and ended up switching to business. And at the time, Chico State had created it was a newer program, the entrepreneurship program, because there's actually a couple successful businesses that came out of the entrepreneurship program. So the college was they were trying to expand it because of these successful businesses. And so I went and attended the entrepreneurship week, and it was like getting me excited. I'm like, well, if this is getting me excited, this is something that I should pursue. And so I ended up switching over to business, and specializing in entrepreneurship was my emphasis. And while I was getting my degree, there was one class where you had to do a feasibility plan. So I basically the professor said, hey, one of the best ways to create a business is solving a problem. And one of the problems that I came up with was, I don't know if you ever lived in the dorm rooms, where there's a very, very limited privacy in there. I mean, it's a very small room with a roommate sometimes.
Yes, I've done that.
Yeah, multiple roommates. So there's no privacy whatsoever. So I came up with the idea of creating some kind of partition that you can just easily put up to divide the dorm room. And you wouldn't have any sound privacy, but more visual privacy.
Right.
So I did a feasibility plan, and discovered that there was a need for it. And the following semester, I did the next class in the program, and it was actually creating the business plan, feasibility plan.
Oh, so it's like over a year you were developing.
Yeah, it kind of like it goes from one step to the other.
Another step, yeah.
Yep. So then the following year, I did actual business plan on that same project. Ended up even doing a prototype. I went to the local Home Depot and did a prototype. I actually partnered up with the College of Engineering.
Nice.
And I had like 5 student engineers actually build a design on CAD for me of my design.
Okay.
Yeah, and then at the end of the year, the other thing too is during that week, the entrepreneurship week, they did presentations. So you could submit your project for these presentations. You got selected, you had an opportunity to present. And so I got my business concept got selected. I was able to present and actually ended up getting 3rd place. And because I placed in I think there was the top 4 or top 5 businesses that placed qualified for the accelerator program, where you can go.
Wow. So you actually got some money.
Yeah. So you can, I forget what the price was. Yeah, I think I might have got like $100 or something. It wasn't major, but the important component to that is that you were able to qualify for the accelerator program presentation.
I mean, funding, I guess, for your venture.
Yeah. So any business that placed in that presentation competition qualified for the accelerator fund presentation. That didn't guarantee you were going to get funding, but it gave you the shot at presenting your pitch to a panel of judges, and it was made up. It was made up. Yeah, and the next step, and that was made up of local business owners, and so you had to present in front of them, and then they would determine if you were going to get the funding. And so we ended up doing that. I had one business partner with me, and we did that, and we asked for 10 grand. That was the maximum amount, and they ended up agreeing to lend us 5 grand, and it was a loan at the time. And one of the requirements is that you had to get an LLC created. So did all that, and got the funding. We had a prototype done, we had a design, and so gained a lot of valuable experience through the whole process, raising funds. And so that was all great. I mean, that was all really, really awesome experience.
But then how do you travel from there to becoming a real estate broker? What's the journey there?
Yeah, so let me and then so I'll kind of go into that. So then what had happened is so I got the funding, and I still had 1 semester left before I graduated, and I ended up wanting to get some kind of internship, and so I got an internship right before I graduated in the summertime. And basically, one thing I forgot to mention is while at school, I did take a real estate class. I can't remember. It was one of the 3 that were required to get your license. I want to say it was practice, or it might have been principles. I don't remember, but I really enjoyed that class. I'm like, I really like real estate and what I've learned. So that was like my spark there. And but anyway, I wanted to get an internship, and so I actually saw Marcus and Millichap at the internship at the career fair. But I was like, why am I going to go talk to them? I don't even have my license. Like, I thought you had to go and have your license before, getting a job or a career. So I kind of just brushed it off. But I ended up getting an internship with Enterprise Rent-A-Car. So I did that for a few years, made it from an internship all the way to a management role. I think at the last management spot, I was managing 25 employees at the time. It was one of the largest locations in Sacramento. And basically what happened is I followed my girlfriend at the time to Sacramento, and she went to the local McGeorge Law School here, and she wanted me to be at the library with her while she studied. And so, I wouldn't have really much to do. I'd get all my work done, and she would just want me to hang out there. So I'm like, you know what? Why don't I just get do my classes, my other real estate classes? And so that's when I decided to do what I needed to do to get my my real estate license. And so I got my real estate license. I was working at Enterprise, and my wife's coworker knew someone at Marcus and Millichap. Yeah, and so I went and I talked to Marcus and Millichap, my mentor. It was eventually going to be my mentor at the time, and he told me, learned about the position. I'm like, oh, this is something that I'm definitely interested in. And he's like, hey, come walk over to and meet our regional manager. So I did that. And one of the biggest questions that I'll never forget, he asked me, hey, are you okay not making $1 for an entire year? I'm like,
wow.
Yeah. In my mind, I'm like, man, like that is, me coming from a stable income, money every day, to not being, not making money for an entire year. I'm like, in the back of my mind, I'm like, no, that sounds terrible. But what am I going to tell this guy? No. I'm like, I mean, yeah, I got to, I got to do what I got to do if I'm going to do this business, and I got to do what and he offered me a job on the spot.
Wow.
And so,
but job means it doesn't give you salary, right?
No salary. No, it's all commission based. And so I actually said, hey, well, yeah, I'll take it, but I need 2 weeks to give my my manager at Marcus. And so I literally committed on the spot as well too.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So I didn't even, my wife or my girlfriend at the time, she already, and one of the reasons I was able to get here, I'll go back a little bit. And one of the reasons I was able to, what was holding me back on pursuing real estate, is that one of us, me and my girlfriend at the time, one of us needed stable income. So once she graduated, got her first attorney position, then we were in a position for me to be able to.
She had a stable income, so
so she got her first attorney job. Then we had her stable income, and now I was able to take a more unstable, business. Pursue.
That's how you got started. That's perfect.
Yeah, that's how I started, and so, that's kind of how it started.
So today, where do you live, and what is your service area for a brokerage?
Yeah, so right now I live in the Rancho Cordova, which is a city here in Sacramento. It's south. It's east of downtown, south of Folsom, kind of out in the outskirts. A lot of development going on here. We actually picked this spot because it was the dead center point of my original office in Roseville and my wife's current office in Elk Grove.
Okay, got it.
So we have two kids now.
Two kids.
Two
boys
kids.
Or girls? What?
So my daughter is going to be 5 here this month, and then I have a son. He just turned 3 in.
Very young, yeah.
Very young. So, that's one of the things I love about real estate is that the flexibility.
Flexibility,
My wife's job is not as flexible, and so
it's like a 9 to 5 kind of
9 to 5, and she has to go into the office, and so there always needs to be one parent that can be more flexible for pickups and drop-offs.
Yeah, it makes sense. Yeah, totally.
But
And I think, what is your service area from North Central Valley? What's the?
Yeah, I mean, for the most part, I go where the deal is, but I'd say from as far south as Fresno to the Oregon border.
Wow. So it's like, yeah, really half of the California.
Yeah, and then I've done the occasional deal in the Bay Area, and then like Sonoma County, and
Okay.
but for the most part, Sacramento and the Central Valley is where I've done most of my deals. But I'll go wherever the deal is. I might get a listing here down in Gilroy, which is south of the Bay Area.
Yeah, Gilroy is well known. Yeah.
Yep.
I think there's some sort of park there, children's park or something, amusement park.
That's where they have, I think, the Garlic Festival.
Garlic Festival. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, let's start with basics, right? A little bit, meaning a lot of people ask me this question, right? So you are a broker,
Mhm.
but most people that people deal with in buying their houses are agents or realtors, right? So what is the difference between an agent and a broker?
Sure. So basically, the technical differences are, brokers, are, there's two requirements or two ways to become a broker. Either through sales experience, which I say the majority of agents qualify through that.
So if they've done X number of deals, they're qualified to become brokers.
Not necessarily deals, but years.
Oh, years. Okay.
Years. Yeah. You need at least 2 years of full-time experience.
Okay.
And the other method is through education. So like a degree in real estate, I think, is one of the ways that you can bypass the sales experience.
Okay.
Or, like I think maybe masters in real estate would also qualify you, but I know for sure like a JD, like a law degree.
A law degree, I see.
Yeah. So any attorneys wouldn't need to have that 2-year experience. They would qualify to be able to get their broker's license.
Okay.
So,
the broker's license is different from agent's license, right?
Yeah. So agent's license to, that's what
in the state of California, I guess.
Yeah, that's what everyone for the most part starts off with. Salesperson, it's technically salesperson license. You got to do, I think, at least when I did it, it was like 3 classes. I forget how many hours total, but it was 3 classes, pass the exam. And so as a real estate agent, you have to hold your license under a broker. Whereas a broker, you could start your own brokerage firm on your own and have agents
employed to you, right?
Under you. Yep.
Under you. Okay. That makes sense. So I'd say broker is more experienced agent, I guess. And it's like a little bit up in the hierarchy, sort of, where they can have their own business independent and employ other agents. Is that a good summary?
Yeah, I would say, brokers for the most part, are more high level.
Okay.
And that's because either they have that through more experience, or through,
more education.
Yeah, education. But, you learn, you can learn only so much through books, right?
The books, yeah.
Everything, you're going to learn through is doing transactions.
Actually doing, yeah.
And actually doing it. So, but yeah, hopefully did I answer your question?
Right.
Okay.
So one question that, and again, people have asked me is like, okay, I want to sell my house, or I want to, sell my multifamily or buy a multifamily, and I'm looking for a broker. What's the one important trait that I should look in while selecting a broker, right? Why should I select, like, how should I evaluate a broker?
Yeah. There's a lot of traits. The one, in my personal opinion, I would say finding an agent, an honest agent that you can trust. And I know that might be tough from the get-go, but giving someone that is just going to be a straight shooter is very important. Someone that's willing to lay out all the facts is very, very important. That's just going to disclose everything that they know, that's in their knowledge, is very important. That way, you're getting all the right information, and they're going to do the right thing, even when even if their commission is on the line, even if they're going to make less money. I think honesty is very, very important.
Actually, this is a very important point, because another question I was going to ask you was, like, brokers are on both sides, sellers and buyers, they're incentivized to close the deal, right? So how do you even make sure that they look for your interest? So I guess you're saying is, yeah, if you can answer that with that, that'll be great.
Yeah, I mean, yes, we are incentivized to close deals, right? Because
that's when you get paid.
Yeah, that's how we get paid.
Yeah.
My approach has always been informative sales approach.
Mm-hmm.
I always like to lay out the facts. Here's the good, the bad. Here's the pros, here's the cons. Here's everything that's good about it, but here's what's the bad about it. Here's the cons. Can you live with the cons? Is it something that you can deal with? Is it something that you can fix over time? And if the answer is yes, then why not move forward with it?
Right.
If it's something that it's not something you want to deal with, something that you don't think you can fix, then it's probably not the right deal for you.
Right,
and it's best for you to not move on from the deal, because in real estate, it's a marathon, not a sprint. You want to be looking at the bigger picture, and so that's another reason why it's always best to lay out the facts. Do what you think is in the buyer's or seller's best interest, because yes, in the short term you might make a quick check, but in the long term you might lose that person's trust,
right,
and not ever be able to do another deal with that
right.
that client. And so my focus is always long term. Do what's right, because you know what, it might be a one-off deal. They may be done, but they still have family and friends.
Yeah.
I've got referrals because of I did whatever I could to take care of them, and I did the right thing, that they could trust me, and then they can give me referrals. Referrals are those are great, because you don't have to work hard at getting those. You already have your foot in the door.
Right. And that's where the honesty also comes, because earlier question you were saying that honesty is important. And I guess honesty means here that the person need to be able to lay down all the facts in front of you, whether, and not make a judgment on themselves whether that's going to jeopardize deal or not, right? And they should not hide stuff that they think might jeopardize a deal, right? They should let the client make that decision, right? Okay, that's perfect. That's a great answer. Yeah, and then another thing that people ask me is, what are some of the ways that a good broker adds value to a multifamily deal, right? What are they really doing? You can answer it from seller's side or even buyer's side, right? Because a lot of people have come to me and said, well, you don't really need a buyer's broker or buyer's agent in multifamily. At certain threshold above, I don't see buyer's brokers. There's only one broker in between. But if you can tell us, like, what value does a broker add, that'll be helpful.
Yeah. So I'll touch a little bit on both. On the list I would say on the list side, one of the biggest ways is fully exposing the property to the marketplace.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, that's gonna, maximizing the exposure is gonna maximize the amount of eyeballs you get on the property, which hopefully will translate to a higher price.
Market it essentially, right?
Yeah, market it, put it on all the marketing
Put on all the
platforms, because you
yeah,
want to get the highest price possible for
correct,
the seller. And higher price, higher commission, because it's all relevant. So full exposure is, in my opinion, um, one of the biggest ways to add value. And that, another thing too is one of the reasons why on the list side, there's only usually two reasons why a property doesn't sell. One, it's not being fully exposed on the marketplace.
Mm-hmm.
And the second is price. So as a broker, if I can scratch one of those off,
Mm-hmm.
then if I could say, hey, look, I've exposed this to the marketplace, we're not getting that much activity.
Mm-hmm.
And I could show the data, I could stay organized and say, hey, these are all the leads, these are all the buyers, these are the agents I've reached out, this is a feedback. Then we know it's the price. So it's a lot easier to be able to get any price reductions, price corrections off that. So that's why I think full exposure of listings is a very good way to add value.
Add value.
And then another way, and this is on both buy and sell side, is as a broker, you want to try to minimize any surprises.
Mm-hmm.
Surprises are deal killers. So, like, for example, like a big item on an inspection report. So let's say as a listing agent, I know the roof is probably going to need to be replaced soon. So why not go out and get a bid and price that into the list price? Or let's say you go out to an inspection and we find something and it's going to be a big item.
Mm-hmm.
Plant the seed of any possible retrades or haircuts. That way, when it does come, it's not like a huge surprise. They have something in their mind that, all right, we're going to be expecting some sort of consideration for
Right.
whatever repair items or whatever was found. And then another way is that you could add value is just always addressing problems immediately, not letting them drag out. If something comes up, let's figure out how we can address it and come up with a solution immediately.
Mm-hmm.
Because the more you drag it out, it's just gonna enhance the problem.
Okay.
So it's always better to just, even if it's a tough conversation and a tough thing to go through, just do it immediately.
Okay. I see. So, like, for example, like, can you give me an example of, like, hey, what are some of the problems that come out? Like, do you remember something? Like, what kind of problems a broker can address?
So like during a transaction.
During transaction, yeah.
One that you would I'd say one that you would want to address immediately, if there's any kind of material change to the contract where, like, the parties agreed to not lease out a unit vacant, and seller decides to rent it out anyway.
Yeah.
So now we got to figure out, it's a material change. Now we have to figure out, all right, how do we come to a resolution on that situation? Or let's see, what is another one? if there's
The
any,
dispute situations is essentially, right?
yeah, any disputes, anything that
Mhm.
there's no agreement that we need to,
And these things do happen, right?
all the time. I
All the
mean,
time. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, escrows, you know, there's so many moving components to it.
Uh-huh.
And, you just got, it's just one of those businesses that you always have to problem solve.
Right. Okay. Makes sense.
Like, and try to not get caught up in the, in the weeds. And whenever there's a problem, don't just focus on the problem. What's the solution? How do we overcome this?
Right. Right.
How do we solve it and move on to the next?
Right. Right. That's good. Um, and then another thing is that you've handled so many deals, right? Um, was there any one particular that's particularly challenging? Is there something memorable? Like, can you give us an example, or what happened in a particular deal that you remember still?
Yeah. So actually, it's one that your group acquired. It's actually 905 Sutter Avenue.
Oh,
Not,
yes, of course. Yeah.
yeah. So not particularly challenging, but it's memorable. And this kind of goes back on, what I mentioned on doing the right thing.
Uh-huh.
So basically what had happened is I listed Sutter Avenue back in August of 2021.
Uh-huh.
Went out, met the sellers in the Bay. They were really motivated to sell the deal. And what ended up happening is, well, I'd say one of the, so there's three owners. It was a partnership,
Uh-huh.
and one of them wanted their money.
Uh-huh.
And so the other ones didn't necessarily want to sell, but they were having to pay off one of the other partners.
Got it.
So they weren't as motivated to sell the deal. And so they agreed to list it. I ended up listing it, and actually was able to generate a full price offer at the time. Really great offer. And I get a call from one of the partners, and like, hey, this isn't news that you want to hear, but we actually want to take it off the market.
Oh,
And so
this is when we bought it, or before that?
this was in 2021, right after
Okay, so before
we
that, okay.
listed it. Yeah, before you bought it. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, okay,
So
okay.
before you bought it, they pulled it off the listing because they were going to try and refi it.
Okay.
Buy out the partner.
Got it.
And so they tried to do that, but I don't think it worked out at the time. So I ended up agreeing, all right, that's fine. We can pull it off the market. We can take it off. And it was tough because I had a full price offer
Yeah.
at the time. And
I understand it. Yeah,
I did my job, and the last thing I wanted to do is, get emotional or get upset with them. Right. I said, all right,
yeah.
just please, if you do decide to resell, use me. I didn't get anything signed. Sometimes I'll try to get an agreement, say, hey, if agree to remove it, if you can agree that you'll relist it with me. I just said, you know what, hopefully I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. And a year later, a little over a year later, in October of 2022, I relisted it. And that's when you guys.
That's when we acquired it. Okay.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
So they, because I did the right thing, I think that's why, instead of getting all upset with them, I did the right thing, and they, relisted.
They gave you the business again.
They gave me the business again. And
this is the long term versus short term. Yeah.
Yeah, that is and doing the right thing. So that is one of the times where, it was a deal where it's memorable. Now I've done that before, where I canceled the listing earlier than the terms, and they ended up going with another agent,
With
or
another agent, yeah.
yeah, even though I delivered and did my job. So there's times where it works, times where it doesn't work, but I always it's important to always do the right thing. And because at the end of the day, I know I could sleep at night because I know I did.
Yeah, it makes sense. Yeah.
But yeah.
That's cool. So let's talk about California, since you brought a property in California. I mean, we were talking about a property in California.
Sure.
I want to know the characteristics of the California real estate market, especially the multifamily market. How has it changed, and how is it different from other multifamily market? What are some of the characteristics you can think about, especially in the area that you are in, Northern Central Valley market?
Yeah. So I'll try to explain it in the most simplest ways that I can. Because this is often, one of the questions I always get asked about all, as well too. So I'd say there's three types. So there's three types of markets here in California. You got your primary market, such as, the Bay Area, LA. You got your secondary market, is like Sacramento.
Okay.
And then you got your tertiary markets, which is like the Central Valley, Modesto, Turlock.
Yeah.
And so each of those have their own characteristics. So usually primary markets like the Bay Area and LA usually have lower cap rates.
Okay.
Which means
that's well known. Yeah, LA and Bay Area expensive.
Yep, expensive, right? But you get higher appreciation.
Correct.
Now you go to secondary markets, you get a little bit of combination of both. You get cash flow and some appreciation, not as much as primary markets. And then you got your tertiary markets where you get more cash flow,
less appreciation.
Okay,
makes sense.
Yep. So that is probably the most simple way of explaining the type of markets in California. And so now recently, there's been a lot of changes to these markets, because there's a trickling effect. So you get primary markets where you get people that want to leave the Bay Area and go to cheaper markets. So you get people that have left the Bay Area and
to move to the smaller
over
cities,
to like Sacramento, because they can get more bang for their buck.
Makes sense.
And then you get people that get priced out because of the Bay Area, the influx of the Bay
move to
Area,
the tertiary markets,
and then they move south to tertiary markets.
Got it.
And then you get super commuters that also want to escape the high prices and are willing to drive, hour and a half to 2 hours to be able to get, cheaper housing. That's also changed the dynamics of the Central Valley. And
Very interesting.
So you see a lot more rent growth in the Central Valley than you have in the past.
Yeah, I agree with you, because we own properties in Central Valley, Northern Central Valley, but also we are seeing that people are moving. That's where the population is actually increasing in California. The big cities like LA and Bay Area, it's actually the population is decreasing in those areas, and the population is increasing in the Central Valley like areas. So you're absolutely right there. And then talking of California, right? Insurance is a big crisis in California right now. I heard that from the grapevine that you're doing something for insurance. So what are you doing with insurance, and why are you're a broker? Why are you even dealing with insurance?
Yeah. So as you mentioned, insurance is a very hot topic in California.
Hmm.
I guess pun intended with all the fires.
Yeah, yeah.
um, so it's getting really challenging to get insurance, and
Hmm.
that's not necessarily just because of the fires, but it's also outdated buildings.
Hmm.
There's been a spike in building fires caused by outdated electrical systems.
Uh-huh.
There's a list of panels that insurance companies, if your building has that, they won't touch.
They won't touch. Yeah, I see.
Yeah, they won't touch. The main ones were like Federal Pacific and Zensco, but they did add a few more to the list.
Hmm.
Um, and then not only electrical systems are being requested, but roofs,
Hmm.
plumbing.
Uh-huh.
And so, um, yeah, I mean, it's something that, I've considered in the past, where why not, if I already have a database of multifamily owners,
Uh-huh.
why not, be able to provide an additional service
Hmm.
to my clients and be
Uh-huh.
able to help them with insurance.
Hmm.
So I'm actually exploring getting my insurance broker's license
Hmm.
so I can help, not only understand the insurance environment more, but also be able to provide, um, insurance quotes and insurance just as another way of adding value to their situation.
Yeah, I think that's great because I'm looking at properties right now, and I know how difficult it is to get quotes, and if I like dealing with you, so if you respond quickly, so if you are the one who's going to give me insurance quote, I will, close my eyes and ask you to get me a quote. So
Yeah.
it's perfect, and it's a value add service. I totally agree with you.
Yeah,
Um,
and just to add to that, and one of the biggest things that that I'm going to make sure, because I don't want to, um, you know, lose the focus on multifamily, is that goal is to add an assistant that does all the quote submissions
so you're
for
going
me.
to hire someone, yeah,
Yeah, I'm going to
100%.
hire someone because
Yeah,
I have to make sure that I stay on the phone, stay in front of clients.
clients.
Obviously work my listing deals,
Hmm.
but I want to also add that that service of being able to provide the quotes. So just wanted to make sure I clear that.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea. It's amazing. I'm looking forward. I mean, do let me know as soon as you become the insurance broker as well. I think this will be the first. Um, Now we're coming to the end of it. We probably have like a couple of minutes left. So I want to ask you one last question,
Sure.
which is, um, if what advice would you give to new investors looking for to buy their either first or second multifamily deal, right? Um, is there any advice? Because you've seen so many deals, people failing, succeeding, right? So what would be your advice to those people?
So I would say, keeping the long-term picture in mind and having a very clear investment criteria,
Mm-hmm.
because you can easily get caught up in trying to chase the highest cap rate deal that you could find, or trying to find the perfect deal, whether it's off market or on market.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's important to understand that your first couple of properties acquisitions is where you're going to build your foundation.
Mm-hmm.
That's where you're going to learn the process. You're going to learn how to manage the risk.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to develop That's where you're going to develop the team,
Mm-hmm.
especially if you're going to need property management, if you're going to need contractors,
Mm-hmm.
handymen, uh
Mm-hmm.
your insurance broker. where you're going to be, developing that whole foundation, and then the most important is where you're going to gain all that experience.
Right.
So, taking the first couple and it could be more. It could be, that first one. It's all going to be dependent on how involved you are in the whole process. Because if you purchase one and you just hire a property management company to handle it all, and then you might not get as much experience. Whereas if you're going to be more hands-on, you're going to get more experience. And then it's also, part of that whole process is also building these strong relationships, because strong relationships in this business can make or break deals. I mean, having strong relationships with brokers that can get, deals across the finish line, lenders, not only on the purchase, but also in refis, in acquisitions, property managers, if you are going to use property management companies, and then obviously insurance brokers.
To build a team sort of around
you. Build a team, build your whole system. And you may have to do that if you own in multiple markets. You might have to have multiple teams. So, I mean, I'd say look at the long picture. Your first couple of deals are going to be all experience. That's where you're going to build your team. And so I wouldn't get caught up in just trying to chase the highest cap rate deal that you could find or deal. Just go in there. Of course, you want to get into a deal that makes sense, but I wouldn't totally focus on
don't nitpick on that deal.
And don't nitpick. Just learn from it. Learn the ins and outs.
If you close a deal, you're going to learn so much more, right? That's what you're saying.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
No, I agree. 100% agree. This is what getting that finish line, like plunging into something, is very important to learn a lot of it. This is great. I mean, this is great conversation. Thank you very much, Louis. Your story coming from a small town and becoming a multifamily broker. Now you're selling and helping people buy multi-million-dollar properties. That's amazing. I wish you good luck, and needless to say, we'll keep working together in future as well. Just Louis and I just closed a deal. I know 2 days ago, Thursday.
Yesterday.
Yeah, we're recording this on Friday, and we closed the deal yesterday. It's a multifamily, but Louis actually builds in a bigger multifamilies than that. But because we have a relationship, he agreed to do a smaller one for me. So thank you. And let's again, hopefully your people will learn out of something from this podcast. And thank you very much, Louis.
Yeah, no, thank you, VP. It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for giving me your trust, and I will always treat you as you are my family. So thank you so much. It's been a pleasure being on here, and if there's anyone that ever needs any assistance or help or wants my opinion, happy to help out.
How can they contact you? Is there a way to contact you?
Yeah, I mean, email's great. My email is my first name LUIS at my last name Mejia RG for realtygroup.com, or phone. I'm a phone call away.
MEJIA RG, correct? Mejia RG .org.
.com.
Yep.
.com.
Okay.
Yep.
So Louis at mejiarg.com.
Yep, that would be the best way. I will try to respond to those as quickly as I can.
Perfect. All right. Thank you again.
Okay, thank you.